Hey guys, I came across this really amazing application called Wrap R3DS. There's also a ZWrap available. You can, if you go to their website, under downloads, you'll see that they have Wrap, which is what I'm using, and then they have a ZWrap, which is a plugin inside of Zbrush, which does exactly the same thing. It's for creating blend shapes. It takes your high scan data or your sculpt data, and it'll wrap a nice topologized mesh that you have on top of that. And it does it through an automatic algorithm. It's quite amazing. Let me run through it. All right, so I'll bring in this model right here. Okay, it's just a guy in an A pose. And I'll go ahead and typically before I do any retopologizing, I do just do a little bit of cleanup on the mesh. Like I'll use the fill voids, um, as well as I do like to unify or go to global space. And all that means is if there's any stretched voxels, it'll put them back into their original voxel square shape. So before I get started with retopologizing, I do like to make sure that on a model like this that has symmetry, I like to make sure symmetry is set on, though I can hide the symmetry plane. And now I'll start my retopologizing. Oops. $6,000 polys is good. Just give this a couple of seconds. All right, there we go. That looks decent. It's got the loops, all that stuff is okay. Yeah, this will be fine for this test. Okay, so we'll go ahead now and export this mesh. And I'm just gonna save that out really quick. Okay, now what we can do is we can go back into voxels, and this time I'm going to bring in the mannequin. The mannequin is set up so we can actually transform him and move his like parts around, just like you would have a model, like those model mannequins that you have on your desk when you're doing drawing. It's already set up, so what we can do is just start moving things around. Maybe, I'm just going to try to do something kind of quick just to make it a little bit more complicated. Okay, got that. Maybe we'll move this forward slightly. Down. I don't know what he's doing. Don't judge me. All right, hang on. Let's move this forward a little. And we'll even rotate his hand like that. All right, and this guy, bring him in. Back. And let's turn his head. There's something really cool that he's looking at, just off to the side there like that. All right, so now let's go ahead and export this guy out. All right, okay, we're done saving. So now I'll go ahead and open this program. It looks like Houdini at first, very like simplified version of it, but hit tab and you'll get a menu, and now we can drop in some nodes. Like we'll load in the retopologized mesh first. Oops, okay, there we go. And now we'll go ahead and bring in the source. Okay, so you can definitely see that they are different. First thing we want to do is get some alignment, basically just positional alignment. So I'm just going to move the clean mesh right on top. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, just get it fairly close. Okay, and now what we'll do is we'll just run it through its wrapping algorithm right out of the gate. Just plug those guys in and compute. All right, so what did it give us? It gave us this. I mean, it did a really nice job on the upper part. The hands need work, and definitely this leg is a problem. So how do we correct that? So they thought about all this, so we can drop down a correspondence point node. Well, it's actually called a select point pairs, and you'll just connect the clean mesh and the source mesh together, and you can jump into this visual editor, and it puts them side by side. You can see how they are separate to rotate. You might want that, but for right now, we'll just go ahead and sync the views so they work together. So let's start off with the upper body looked pretty good, but I'm still going to go ahead and at least put some of the basic points in. Like, for example, I'll put the chin point. So I drop a point, got to make sure that point is in the same place, and the numbers have to be corresponding. So 0, 0, and up on top will be 1 and 1. And the nose roughly about here to there. Okay, cool. That's all good. The shoulders are probably fine. I'll just go ahead and just to make sure. So 3 and 4 will be about here, and I'll do the same. 3 and 4. Okay, next step, the hands. So we'll start with the thumb and the thumb. And then also right in between the thumb and where the fingers start. Just a guesstimate. And I'll probably just to make sure that this aligns properly, and then the tip. 2, 3. So if I think that's too high, so I can just click on that and drag it down to, and the tip can go here. Even this could go down a bit, like that. Okay, and I'm going to move this over to make room. So now we've got to add 3 more fingers in here. So those are probably going to be like 1, 2, and 3. And that'll be these tips. 1, 2, and 3. And then the finger goes to about there, and the wrist is about here. And we'll just align that the same way. There, and the wrist is about there. Higher. Okay. Okay, so that hand's good. I'll move on to the next hand. And this is where, because the hands are in different positions, I might want to unsync the views and just set it up like this. thumb, thumb, that point, and where the fingers start, and then the knuckles, and then the tip. And then the tip. All right, and then we'll add these other three. 1, 2, 3. And the reason I'm just adding a few extra points on here is because one is like a hand mitt and the other one has fingers. So I'm just trying to make sure that I get the proper spread on the fingers or in the mitt, as if like the fingers are inside. Okay, so 1, 2. Something like that. And maybe I'll just go ahead and add the wrist. Somewhere. Okay, now the leg was the other problem. And this is really actually pretty easy. Let me just sync the views. We can just simply point out where the knees are. And that'll align that part. And then the toes here. And here, and then the heels. Heel there, heel there, heel there, and heel there. That might be all the information we need, actually. Yeah, let's just try that. So now that I have those selected, we can plug that right into the correspondence input and rerun the algorithm. Okay, and so now let's go ahead and take a look. Not bad. Okay, so there's a problem here. We can either go back and add a point. Go here and here. And I'm not sure that we really need to add the inner thigh. I think that'll actually fix it. So let's go back and compute. Okay. There we go. And if you find that there's areas that need a little bit of tweaking and you don't want to keep going back and doing points, we can drop down a brush node. And then just plug that into here and then take your source mesh, which is your high poly mesh, and put that in so it can use it as a reference. And we'll go back to the editor so you can see them now on top of each other. And you have all these brush tools. Now it's set to relax. You can do move. I just leave it on move and then I just hold shift and it turns to relax. But I do have to set my brush radius so it's not crazy big, and then the strength doesn't have to be so strong. So now if I hold shift and go, you can see that it starts to relax the mesh a little bit, and it tries to stick it back onto the source or the high poly. It's pretty amazing. and it's actually really fun to use. There we go. And just save you a bunch of work. Inside of ZBrush, this is a plugin that you can run directly inside of ZBrush. So it's pretty fascinating. Anyway, I hope you like that and you find some use for it. Again, there's a free download, 30 days, give it a try. And if you're interested in it, there you go. All right, thanks for watching.